Welcome to Paranormal Almanac with your host, Kurt Sandvik.
That's right, I'm your host, Kurt Sandvik, and on this week's edition of Paranormal Almanac, let's get back to cryptids, shall we? We've done so many other weird things, but in the end, it's all about the weird cryptids. Hold on, I gotta put my phone on mute, because I know the second I don't, someone's gonna call me. Alrighty, we are here. It is May. It is 102 degrees out right now in Burbank. I'm putting that on the record, just in case... Well, I'll give you a house update after shout-outs. Let's do some shout-outs anyway. Shout-outs going out to the patrons. Patrons, please. I completely understand that this is a funky world we're living in, and if you can't afford it, please don't feel bad about, you got to stop being a patron. I get it. I 100% get it. I appreciate every time a patron reaches out to me and explains why they had to stop. It's nothing against me. It's nothing against the patron or the podcast. It's literally just has to do with the economics of the world today. So I totally get it. I thank you all for anybody that can be a patron for any amount of time. So please don't worry if you can't do it. I never want anyone to struggle to pay to be a patron. I'd much rather have you pay to, live. All right, so we got shout-outs. Get out to Lisa Cervantes, Curious Hedgehog, Diana, Mr. J, George Berg, Deb B, Corey, GC, Tracy, hey, howdy, hi, Newt, MacGyver on it, B. Melty, Avril, Loch Ness, not a monster, still looks like boobs, Stacy, Leviathan, the Wicked One, ill said Brian, Johnny the Pommy, hey, howdy, hi, from the other side of the world. Since it's 102 degrees, I can only assume that it's cold there, so put on a sweater. JT, Doogie Hoare, Mike G, Tracy B, Jeff, hey, howdy, hi, buddy. Richard, Alec, Karen, Duran, Lori, Rebecca, Ann, Stephen Scher, hey, howdy, hi, Jane Ann, Jennifer, Heather G, your friendly neighborhood skinwalker, Zuzus, What's It, Nico Scher and the Mouse, Andrew, Mark and Tina, Tortuga, JB, Andy, Tracy, Virginia, Mailman, Tony the Magician, Vicky, Crow, Lobito Works, Isabel, Jen, Amber, Tracy, Kick-Ass, Magic, Robot Webcomic, Sandy, Paige, Couch, Scott, Andrea, Melody, Vanessa, Becca, Jake, Charlotte, and the Beasties, If I Was the Devil, Elizabeth, Sherry, hey, howdy, hi, Art Muffin, Tim, hey, howdy, hi, buddy. I owe both Sherry and Tim a text. I've been that busy. It's been crazy. East Clintwood, I said it right. Kenneth, Alexandra, George, Zozo the Demon, Hayden, Cindy, Ashley, Robin, Lauren, Russell, Isabel, Audra, Dorian, Cindy, Paula, Jerry, Jeff T, Joe, Lawrence, Melissa, the Lawrence Strawn, hey, howdy, hi, Autumn, Carolyn, Nanashi, Todd, Jamie, and Elijah Hendrickson. I get to see Todd and Jamie this week. Can't wait. Dan, Laura Pitts, Gamer Fan, the one, the only, the Gamer Fan. With 3 special shout-outs to Heather G's, Jeffrey B, to Joe Teague. Can't believe it's been 5 years, buddy. To Stitch My Boy. And I think that's it for the special shout-outs. It's been a rough one, people. It's been a rough one. Where are we at? All right, let's get to it. Let's get right on into it. People are saying, what's going on with the episodes? Why are they taking 2 weeks now? Well, I'm desperately trying and failing, might I add, to find a place to live in California. I put in offers, and I get outbid immediately, or I put in offers, and then it comes back, and it's way, 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 way more money. And I'm not trying to buy. I'm trying to buy like a little apartment. That's it. In California. And it is ridiculous. I mean, I get it. A lot of people lost their homes because of those horrific fires. So everybody's trying to get places to live. I totally get that. Their problems are way worse than my problems will ever be. Hopefully, knock on wood. Hopefully it never happens to them again. But that being said, it is making it for a hell time to try and find a place to live. That, and I had some stuff that happened that I can't talk about on the air with real estate as well. Excuse me, our real estate agents. But so where are we at? Well, I just lost another place. I am down to the wire, running out of time, and I seriously am contemplating. I think I can no longer afford California, is where I'm at. So, yeah. So we're gonna figure that out this week. But I don't think I'm gonna be staying in California. Sadly, I can't figure out a way to do it that wouldn't just bankrupt me. Paying $2,350 for an apartment, rent just seems insane to me. So, much as I love it here and all my friends are here and I got a lot of, really close people that I love here, I don't see how I can stay in California. So, all right. Well, that's, like I said, I wanted to give that update in case you were wondering why it takes 2 weeks, between work and, life and, hospital stuff that, not me, thankfully, but, family stuff. It's been, is what I'm trying to say. All right, let's get right into paranormal news and get the show back on track here. Too much depressing stuff for that.
There's something in here. What was that? It's time for paranormal news.
Yes, it is. It's time for paranormal news. And I'm still sweating balls here. The first story in paranormal news, Pope Leo could be key. Let me start that over. Pope Leo could be key to UFO disclosure, according to an ex-Vatican source. Let me play this news story for you directly from them so you can hear it.
We reported on the prospect that a new pope might just let a few rays of sunshine into that vast and heavily guarded treasure trove, and maybe let a few secrets out. Specifically, what the Vatican knows about extraterrestrial visitors and how the Vatican knows it. It turns out Pope Leo XIV has a spiritual connection to the Vatican's long history of astronomical research, and a personal connection to a land where mysterious...
The personal connection is he's an alien. I'm not going to let this keep going. I didn't realize it was 18 minutes long. Look, you just heard it right there. Daniel Sheehan, an attorney who once served as general counsel to the U.S. Jesuit headquarters in Washington, said, I think he's going to be the disclosure pope. That is true that there is a crap ton of evidence that the Vatican has and documents that they have in their libraries in regards to angels and demons and extraterrestrials. So it'd be very nice if finally 2025 we got a cool pope. Hey, Pope Leo, you want to come on the show? I'd love to have you. But it'd be cool to have a cool pope that goes, yeah, we know aliens are real. It started to look like the last pope was going to do it when he announced that you can believe in aliens and still believe in God, that, one doesn't discount the other. But he didn't do it. So hopefully Pope Leo will do it. All righty, up next in paranormal news, former NASA official claims he saw shocking UFO footage, not USO, shocking UFO footage in 1992. He said, that's a flying saucer. Mr. Rogers, not that Mr. Rogers, testimony comes amid a surge in whistleblowers speaking out about secret military projects investigating anomalous flying objects. Dr. Gregory Rogers, a former NASA chief flight surgeon and Air Force major, claims to have seen footage of a 20-foot wide flying saucer with a U.S. Air Force logo in a military hangar in 1992. Kurt here, Bob Lazar said the exact same thing that he saw in Area 51 when he worked there. So it is very telling. Mr. Rogers' testimony comes amid a surge in whistleblowers speaking out about secret military projects investigating anomalous flying objects. According to him, the incident occurred at Cape Canaveral, Florida, during an inspection when an Air Force major showed him CCTV footage of the unidentified flying object in a hangar. I know exactly what I saw that day, and it was in no fashion a conventional flying vehicle. The footage featured a white flying saucer with the U.S. Air Force logo, measuring 20 feet wide and 8 to 10 feet tall, with a shallow dome on top. He said, "There's a flying saucer." He added that a massive emblem on the saucer said U.S. Air Force and had the U.S. flying insignia. Again, exactly like what Bob Lazar said years ago. He described the flying saucer as having a smooth, seamless surface with no visible antenna or flight control surfaces. He noticed a temporary tube connected to the dome's apex, speculating it might have been for refueling. Everything was white, but there was a vertical black rectangle at about 3 o'clock, the 6 o'clock, and the 9 o'clock position on the upper half of the vehicle. He recalled seeing men in hazmat suits and lab coats observing the saucer in the hangar. When a horn sounded, the men dispersed and an energetic display resembling fireworks followed. I hear and see these things that look like electromagnetic charges coming off this vehicle, but there are no devices from which they're emanating. All of a sudden, it just lifted as smooth as can be. Once it got up maybe 3 feet above the concrete surface, it rotated completely around clockwise and run 1 revolution. Then it revolved counterclockwise 1 revolution. When he asked the Air Force major about the origin of the vehicle, the major replied, "We got it from them," gesturing upwards with his thumb. He was sworn to secrecy and kept the incident hidden from his wife for 15 years. He later, Kurt, here, bullshit. You told your wife. He later expressed frustration with the major for involving him in the classified information, feeling it was done to make the major appear important. Oh, totally. You know that dude's like, "Hey, you want to see a flying saucer? Dude, look on that TV, flying saucer." He stated that astronauts have shared with them their encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena. And he says, "Astronauts have discussed UAPs with me, vehicles that were not part of the human space program, as far as we know, being in near location to the spacecraft. Even flying in formation with them is not uncommon. They've seen these things." I love it. And I 100% believe it. Like I said, it's exactly what Bob Lazar said back in the day. Keep coming out, people. Anybody that's seen it. What about this major? Get that dude to come out. Let's start talking about these things more and more openly. Alrighty, up next in paranormal news, scientists study spherical UFO, say they discovered alien technology. Scientists have released the first X-ray images of a mysterious sphere-shaped object recovered in Colombia, which locals claim is of alien origin. Now, the so-called UFO was spotted in March over the town of Buga, zigzagging through the sky in a way that defies the movements of conventional aircraft. Now, the object was recovered shortly after it landed and has since been analyzed by scientists who discovered it features 3 layers of metal-like material and 18 microspheres surrounded by a central nucleus they're calling a chip. Dr. Jose Luis Velazquez? Sure. It's not Velasquez. It's different, spelled differently. A radiologist who examined the sphere reported finding, quote, "no welds or joints, which could typically indicate human fabrication." He and his team concluded it's of artificial origin, in that it shows no evidence of welding, and its internal structure is composed of high-density elements. More testing is needed to establish its origin. Now, the sphere also displays symbols that the team compared to ancient scripts, including runes, Agam, and Mesopotamian writing systems. Using AI to assist in deciphering the design, the team interpreted the messages to read, "The origin of birth through union and energy in the cycle of transformation. Meeting point of unity, expansion, and consciousness, individual consciousness. We interpret it as a message to humanity, encouraging a collective shift in consciousness to help Mother Earth, especially considering the current issues with pollution and the environmental decline." Yeah, totally. I will say it's a very, very cool-looking sphere. You know someone's going to make a model of it, and I'm going to want one to put behind me. Wherever the hell I end up, the next time I do a live show, I'd like to have all the stuff back up behind me. It's very, very cool looking. Do I think it's 100% real? I don't know. Not a clue. You decide. You tell me. All righty, up next in paranormal news. This next one was funny. It was originally going to be Lou Elizondo shows off an image of a UFO that is, in his mind, clear as day, proof of UFOs. That was taken by like an airplane captain, like a commercial airplane captain. I immediately, when I saw it, went, "Oh, that's bullshit. That is 100% going to be debunked in like 2 minutes." And sure enough, it was debunked right away. Before I can even do an episode or a paranormal news about it, it was debunked. People figured out exactly where the photo was taken and also added, Google Earth, which shows a dark circle, and then right next to the dark circle, a light circle. So that if you took a photo of it just right, it would look like the dark circle is under the light circle and could be shadows, but it's not. The two circles, located an hour east of Colorado Springs, can be spotted on Google Earth. It took people no time to trace that satellite image, figured out there were circular fields, and debunked it. They also said he had to have known that this was fake. It was going to be found out. So I'm left thinking this is intentional, I guess. This is actually hilarious. Another one wrote, not even a crop circle, just regular circles in a crop, or regular crops in a circle. UFO debunker Mick West also said this is very easily debunkable, and why would he ever do this? All it does is hurt the UFO community. And I gotta say, they're not wrong. This was dumb. This was incredibly dumb. He could have vetted this one so quickly, so easily, and not made the UFO community look bad and not really taint his reputation as a UFO expert. But this article says a military whistleblower showed a photo of an alleged huge disc-shaped object, but it's incredibly obvious what it was. And he has gone on to apologize, and he said, it had been given to me just that morning by a private pilot prior to the forum, had not yet been vetted. The dimensions I quoted were per the pilot's own assessment of what he saw based on the altitude and the experience. As you know, I'm always first to admit mistakes, but this is not one of those times. Yeah, you fucked up. I'm glad that you admitted it and didn't try to fight it, being like, no, this one's different and it's real. But it did hurt his reputation, his credibility, and the UFO community. And this does not help us get closer to disclosure. So it sucks. I like Lou Elizondo, but this one just sucks. It was a really dumb thing to do. I apologize, Lou, but it really was. It was a dumb thing to do. All righty, up next in paranormal news. Has Bigfoot been spotted in Myrtle Beach area? Where to find the legendary creature? That's right. Bigfoot Festival, South Carolina Bigfoot Festival. It's holding its first Myrtle Beast Bigfoot Festival. Myrtle Beach and Horry County have long been known for its UFO sightings and being a UFO hotspot, but also with Bigfoot. All righty, let me click on it and see if I can give you some information about this. The Bigfoot Comic-Con and Myrtle Beast Bigfoot Festival will take place May 9th and 10th. Oh, that's today. Crap. Well, sorry, guys. If you're in Myrtle Beach, go now. Hurry. Go, go, go. I thought that was next weekend, not today. So with that, let's keep on keeping on. I got a lot of stuff to get to in this episode. So with that, let's get to the next story in paranormal news. See, that's me apologizing for not vetting that story better. All righty, up next is Denver's historic, seemingly haunted Lumber Baron Inn is for sale. That's right. I love a good paranormal haunted listing, and we got another one. The historic Lumber Baron Inn in Denver Highlands neighborhood just hit the market for $3.2 million. But the three-story Victorian mansion, currently operating as a bed and breakfast, has earned a reputation as one of the city's most haunted landmarks. Its eerie charm has drawn ghost hunters and even landed it on a Netflix paranormal series. Let's see. It's built back in 1890 for his wife and 5 children, but tragedy struck early. His 10-year-old son was fatally stabbed inside the home by a grocer. That's not cool. Then came the Panic of 1893, which tanked the markets and his fortune. In the 1970s, during the building's stint as an apartment complex, 2 young women were murdered in a double homicide that remains unsolved. And, yeah, you got ghosts. That's how you get ghosts. And, boy, do they have them. So if you want to buy a haunted place in Denver and you got 3.2 just sitting around, the Lumber Baron Inn, located at 2555 West 37th Avenue in Denver's Potter Highlands neighborhood, is up for sale. Let me get you a little, see if I can get you a little bit of information here. It has 6 bedrooms, 9 baths, 9,700 square feet. This place is huge on a 0.32 acre lot. A 3-story mansion built in 1890, currently used as a bed and breakfast and event venue, including its 3rd floor ballroom and beautiful outdoor private gardens can be easily converted into a single residency. The owner operates of the inn live in a nicely appointed basement apartment with a kitchen. Oh, that's cool. It is gorgeous. I gotta say, it is a beautiful place. I don't understand what the weird, like, pineapple-y thing is on top of the house, but I love it. I think it's cool. Boy, this place is gorgeous. Now I'm just looking at photos. Yeah, you got 3.2 million. Please buy it. And when you do, please let me do an episode from there because it looks gorgeous. Yeah. Up next, finally, in paranormal news, something that I got to hit up this person and see if I can get one of these bottles. The first bottle of whiskey matured in casks submerged in Loch Ness sells for over $1,000. That's right. Scottish Spirit is first of six Loch Ness edition bottles. The first bottle of whiskey matured in casks has been sold at auction for more than $1,000. Dom Hain, named after the Gaelic word for deep, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, was submerged 702 feet beneath the surface of Loch Ness. The inaugural Loch Ness edition bottle, which came from a 2010 single malt barley spirit with 55.5% alcohol by volume, recently sold at auction for $1,133. This thing is fucking cool, man. It is gorgeous. Hold on, let me see if I can find the... Here, let me click on this, see if this works. Might not.
Was in a home.
No free commercials on my time. I was really hoping I could get... Oh, maybe I can. Let's see if this works.
We started it, became officially incorporated, and all.
Nope, it's not what I wanted at all. Way to go. He said, this is what we... this is about pushing the boundaries of how we understand spirit maturation. We know the environment a cask matures in has a great impact, but no one has explored the application of pressure like this before. He said the results were astounding. When we retrieved the cask, the difference was undeniable. The spirit had developed a distinctly different aroma and smoothness, sometimes something traditional maturation simply couldn't achieve in the same time frame. But with only 6 bottles existing, the spirit can't legally be called whiskey because its submersion in water alters its molecular profile. Well, that's bullshit. It's better than whiskey. Submersion causes the cask to compress and decompress, triggering a unique interaction between the wood and the spirit, involved both extraction and absorption. It's a one-off opportunity. Each cask can only withstand one dive before the pressure permanently alters it. Oh, wow. This technique measures differences in the compounds found in samples, and it's got a different molecular composition. That is cool as hell. I want one of these bottles. I would love to have the guys on this the show to talk to them about the idea, doing it, what it tastes like, and, beg them for a bottle. All right, that about does it for paranormal news. Head on over to, what is it? paranormal.almanac.dashery.com. I don't know. Go to dashery.com and look up Paranormal Almanac. There's a lot of merch to be done. I'm going to need a lot of merch money, if you will, if I'm going to be moving across country, which is a big possibility. But more importantly, I'm going to be adding the 300th episode styles this week. I started teasing them, and I did a lot of very cool artwork, like poster artwork for the 300th episode because it's coming up soon. But I'm going to add those styles to the store, the merchandise store, this weekend. So take a look. If you want some merch, there's going to be all kinds of cool, brand new merch, limited edition merch. I'll do it just like I did with the 200th after, I don't know, a month or two after the 200th. Those styles are going to go away, and that's it. That's all there ever will be. I'm kind of bummed I never bought one of the 200th episode styles that I really liked, but I'm sticking to my guns. I missed the opportunity just like anybody else. Once they're gone, they are gone. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. We are back. On this edition, I wanted to get back to what I love talking about. Weird-ass cryptids. Not Bigfoot or Chupacabra or Nessie. No, let's get back to the weird, wonderful cryptids that people have seen and that I want to see some of them. There's a few on this episode I don't want to see. I don't need to see. Please keep them far, far away from me. For this first one, we're going to have to figure out how you pronounce something because I don't want to start this episode pronouncing it the wrong way. So with that, let's do a pronunciation real quick. How do you pronounce, say it, come on, you can do it. How do you do?
I'm Greg.
No, you're not Greg. No free commercials, Greg. Here we go. Ready? Skip and...
We are looking at how to pronounce the name of the city located in Alabama, United States. How do you say it?
I don't know.
Tuscumbia will be looking at how to...
Tuscumbia. Sure, why not? But this Tuscumbia isn't in Alabama. It's in Missouri. So let's go with Tuscumbia. First we go to Tuscumbia, Missouri, and back to February 14th. That's right, Valentine's Day, 1967. When a 64-year-old farmer named Claude Edwards was out working in the field when he saw a UFO sitting in one of his nearby fields. Now, Claude said that that before he saw this UFO, the first thing that he actually saw that was really odd was he noticed that all of the cattle in this east field were all staring in the same direction. And I don't know about you, but if you ever see an entire herd of cattle all staring at something, you best go look and see what those cattle are staring at. Because no matter what it's going to be, it's worth noticing what a herd of cattle are looking at. And that's what he did. He's like, whoa, I wonder what they're looking at. So he walks over and he looks. Through a grove of trees, he said he saw a massive grayish-green mushroom-like object, which was perched atop a circular tube, and it was in the meadow adjacent to his barn. So, either brave or stupid. You decide now. Was Claude brave or was Claude stupid? Decide now. I'm going to give you 3, 2, 1. Your answers are in. Put your pencils down. Time's up. Either brave or stupid. Claude walked over to a UFO that landed by his barn. Yeah, I don't know. He said his eyes had never left the UFO as he walked up to the barn. He was just staring at the UFO, walks up to the barn. He drops his feed bucket, latches the barn door shut, and he goes, and that's when I noticed them. That's right, about 70 feet away, under the UFO, he saw a bunch of scurrying creatures. He said between him and the UFO were 2 wire fences and some more cows. So again, you've already decided, insert either brave or stupid. Claude, brave or stupid, climbs the first gate and starts walking towards the creatures and the UFO. He gets to the second gate and said, now the creatures seemed agitated because of him. So he stops at this gate for a bit, and he described the creatures like this. Approximately 3 to 4 feet in height. A grayish-green complexion, much like their ship. He said they had no hands or that their arms were moving too swiftly for him to see if they had, like, hands or feet or any of that stuff. Their extremities were moving too fast. And they were wearing either goggles or had large, wide-set black eyes. He said they also had dark protuberances where their noses and mouth ought to have been. And he would later claim that these, quote, invaders, as he called them, resembled little green penguins with no visible neck. That's right, space penguins, people. So, Claude also stated that he could not clearly discern what manner of locomotion that they were employing with their lower extremities. It was just all like, they just seemed to be moving without actually, like, moving their legs. Kind of like penguins. Okay, so he jumps the second gate. Picks up a couple of rocks to throw at the UFO and the tiny alien penguins. Why? Why would you want to hurt a space penguin? I've seen Earth penguins at the zoo, and every time, all I can think of is, how can I steal one of these freaking penguins and take it home so I can have a house penguin forever? I would never think, whoa, space penguin, I got to pick up this rock. I'm going to freaking hit it in the head with a freaking rock. He would later say that his plan was to use the rocks to throw at the UFO to puncture holes in it, in the side of it, to prevent it from taking off. Okay, maybe he's trying to keep the space penguins. I'll give you some points for that, Claude, because I would too. I'd be like, how do I keep them space penguins? I got to keep me one of them. I get rid of this freaking mushroom ship and pop it like a balloon. I can keep me a space penguin. So let's find out together. So he gets within 15 feet of the UFO and the space penguins when he's stopped by some sort of force field, he called it. He said that he could neither see nor feel it, but the pressure the invisible barrier admitted was, quote, unmistakable. He said, I thought I was gonna go right up to it. I got up there, and there it was. I just walked up against a wall. All right, so now Claude's stuck 15 feet away, can't get any closer, can't keep a space penguin. He said this is when he got the best look of the UFO. He described it later as the metallic surface of the vehicle was smooth and seamless. He compared it to a shiny silk. Now, he estimated that the curved top of the craft was about 18 feet in diameter and nearly 8 feet at its apex. The stem-like tube thing that was supporting the object, if you will, the UFO, was evidently made out of the same material as the domed top. He said it stood not much higher than the space penguins beneath it. So it almost sounds like a hot air balloon. Maybe this guy's never seen a hot air balloon, but it still doesn't explain the space penguins. He said it had evenly spaced oval portals about 12 inches long and 12 inches apart, situated around the lower rim of the saucer, and that these portals did not seem to function as windows, as he could see a dazzling array of colors radiating from each of the ovals. All right, so it wasn't a hot air balloon. The colored lights oscillated as if they were spinning behind the portals, he said. He said the object just looked like a big shell, grayish-green-looking outfit thing. And underneath, there were oblong holes where the lights were coming out. They were so bright you couldn't see when you got up there, as if the color wheel was turning inside the thing. So, he backs away from the force field thingy, and you guessed it, he starts throwing rocks at the UFO. Kurt here, don't fucking throw rocks at a UFO. It's not going to do anything, and you just make all us humans look dumb by doing it, all right? Can we not? Please? So the rocks bounce off the force field noiselessly and land on the ground. He throws a second rock with even more force. This one just skipped over the top of the UFO like a stone over water before landing in the field behind the UFO. And the space penguins apparently had enough of rocks being thrown their way. They all swiftly disappeared behind the shaft supporting the craft, and he thinks it was presumably into an access portal that was concealed from him. It was then the UFO tilted towards him, not once, but twice. But then on the third lurch, the UFO silently took off at tremendous speeds, leveled off, then headed towards St. Elizabeth, which is located northeast of Tuscumbia. He said the whole thing took over 5 minutes, maybe 10. I've never seen anything like it. It looked like shiny silk or something. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell. I was going to tell, though, if I could have hit it with that rock. All right, Chuckles, look, you threw a rock at space penguins, and you're proud of that? Don't be that guy. So anyhow, a local ufologist heard the rumors of the story from in the town, and he seeks out Claude. And this guy said, when I arrived at the farm, we visited for several minutes. I was gaining his confidence that I wouldn't reveal his name or location until his death. He didn't like talking about the sighting at first, but became more comfortable as we discussed the weather and farming. I asked him to relive the event in real time, and we began on his front porch, which faces the large barn near the landing area. When I arrived at the site, the traces were still quite visible. It was 1 meter in diameter and slightly irregular circle where the shaft had rested. The soil was extremely dehydrated in contrast with the surrounding soil. So that's cool. There was evidence of a UFO. But that's it. There you go. That is the story of the Valentine's space penguins. See, I told you we're getting weird on this cryptid episode. And also, let me just say before I move on, if the space penguins are listening, I would love to meet you and possibly pet you, and I promise not to throw any rocks at you like Claude did. I want to see a space penguin. It can only be the next best thing to a penguin. Alrighty, from there, let's go to Kanula, Finland on February 2nd, 1971. That's right, at approximately 8 p.m., two Finnish women, Sanika Kuntinen and Mrs. Meninen, sure, why not, were driving from Kusumo towards Oulu when they saw a strange light behind their car on the right side of the road. Thinking it was a car trying to, overtake them, they really didn't pay that much attention to it. That is, until this mysterious light slipped over the vehicle and began to pace the car on the left side of the road. So they look at it and they go, huh, that's not a car. They quickly realize it ain't a car, and it also ain't a UFO. What they did see was a peculiar helmeted creature that stood approximately 3 feet tall, clad in a greenish-brownish suit, and it crossed the road in front of the two women with a series of small jumps. Yeah, that's right. On the front of the head was a faceplate like a scuba diver. And although the creature had arms and legs, they couldn't see hands or fingers, much like the space penguins. So it bounces away, and that was the last they saw of this weird creature? Well, that is until we go to 3 days later, February 5th, 1971. Two Finnish lumberjacks, 21-year-old Peter Aloranta and 18-year-old Esko Juhani Snek, well, they saw the same little dude. That's right, around 3 p.m. They were done lumberjacking and decided to call it a day because the overcast conditions were making it too dark to continue. So Peter turns off his chainsaw when he suddenly notices an odd metallic object hovering at treetop level. He said it was shaped like two saucers on top of each other. It was about 15 feet in diameter. At the bottom of the vehicle, there were 4 thin landing legs with rounded bases, which he estimated to be about 6 feet long. A circular portal opened at the base of the slowly descending UFO, and it lands in a small clearing between the trees, less than 50 feet away from him and Esko. And he said that's when, quote, the spacemen exited the craft. So what do you do when you see a UFO, spaceman, bouncy little dude? Well, you try and catch it immediately, that's exactly what Peter did. He immediately grabs the spaceman's boots. Well, sucks to be Peter because immediately grabbing the spaceman boots burnt him to all hell. It just burnt the shit out of him. He said the wounds were still clearly visible 2 months later. So the bouncy, burny space dude guy, he gets back in the UFO and he fucks off, rightfully so. Well, yeah, he lands all quietly and calmly, and then one guy tries to grab him and the other one's standing there holding a chainsaw. Look, it is no wonder, people, why aliens don't like coming around humans here, don't like being on Earth. We suck, okay? We suck. So that was the last that anyone has seen of the weird, bouncy space guy. Yeah. Both in Finland, 3 days apart. All righty, let's keep moving on. You know what, though? Let's move on, but let's stick with lumberjacks. That's right. Let's talk about the gumbaroo. All right, for this one, we go back to the 19th century and to the Pacific Northwest coast from Gray Harbors, Washington, down to Humboldt Bay, California, and all the forests in between, where all the lumberjacks were just, clear cutting away all those beautiful, ginormous, cool-ass trees. That's because the lumberjacks told the stories when they would get back into town after lumberjacking all day about this creature called the gumbaroo. They said it's roughly similar in size to a black bear, but it's thankfully very rare. It has smooth black skin, so no hair. The gumbaroo is completely hairless except for a bushy beard and thick eyebrows. Now, these gumbaroo are reported to be spread all along the coast from Washington State, like I said, down to California, and they make their lairs in hollowed-out remnants of cedar trees. But what sets them apart, besides being hairless with a beard and bushy eyebrows like Eugene Levy? Well, one of the most unusual attributes to the gumbaroo is its incredibly tough hide. That's right, the lumberjacks tried everything they could think of to kill one of these things, because again, you see a rare, weird animal for the first time ever, you got to kill the fucking thing. They said that the animal's hide has such a high degree of elasticity, it makes it nearly impervious to harm. Bullets and arrows simply bounce right off of it. Same with knives and chains. Anything a lumberjack could possibly have didn't hurt it. Except there is one weakness to a gumbaroo. If you see a gumbaroo and you decide for whatever reason, oh, I got to kill that fucking thing, what you're going to need is fire. And one of the main reasons why gumbaroos are so rare, according to the lumberjacks of the 19th century, is the frequency of forest fires in its area is because one will literally explode if a flame even touches it. That's right. You touch it with the tiniest little flame, boom, it explodes. So, no point in fucking shooting a gumbaroo. Lumberjacks tried, couldn't get through to the hide. Don't throw any rocks at it. Don't try to stab it. But if you do set it on fire, just know it's gonna explode, killing you with the gumbaroo itself. And that explosion causes massive forest fires. So are there any known sightings of the gumbaroo? Well, Kurt here, no. I guess if you were close enough to see it, you probably tried to kill it by burning it so you exploded when it did, or you were one of these smart lumberjacks who went, oh God, a gumbaroo, and ran the other way. But again, lumberjacks in the 19th century said that most spontaneous forest fires in the 19th century Northwest were caused by gumbaroos. Prove them wrong. You can't. I tried. How are you going to prove that wrong? I can't say what caused the most forest fires in the 19th century Northwest America. They're saying it was the gumbaroo. I can't prove them wrong, so sure enough, gumbaroo, people. But again, you see a really rare cryptid, why you got to try and kill it? Just, you got to see this really cool, crazy Eugene Levy eyebrow, bushy beard, bald, naked bear. Let it be, okay? Alrighty, up next is the Domovoy. Domovoy, am I saying that right? I can't remember, so let's find out real quick. Sorry, I can't remember. It's been a couple days since I did this outline. How to pronounce Domovoy.
Domovoy.
Oh, okay, well, just like I said it, but more human-like. Domovoy. So up next is the Domovoy, also known as the Domovic, the Domonic, or the Domvi. Well, Domvi. I don't know how to say it. Basically, it all translates to Domovoy, which means the one of the household. Now, this is a Slavic household guardian shapeshifter spirit that lives in the fireplace or behind the stoves and protects the family of the house. And they are very protective of their family, their clan, especially children and animals. They constantly look after the children and animals of the house. But get this, even though they're very rarely seen and they very rarely leave the house, they will fight other Domovoy of other households in order to protect their household family. So if they're attacked, they will protect. And the winner will kill the loser, then take over watching both households. All right? So what do they look like? Well, they are said to be old, gray-haired men with flashing eyes, but like a troll. Not like an ugly, scary Harry Potter troll, but more like, not a troll, like a garden gnome. You know, picture a garden gnome. That's what these guys look like. The typical garden gnome, you know, red or green jacket and the either other color, red or green pointy hat. That's what these Domovoys look like. But not all the time, because they're also shapeshifters who can manifest in the form of cats, dogs, bears, or shapeshift into the master of the house or a departed ancestor of that given family. Now, there are some other descriptions of them saying that they have, you know, a little tail and tiny horns, but the majority of them look like that garden gnome. What is that? There's like a, I don't know, like an insurance commercial with a garden gnome. You know what I'm trying to say? Like that typical garden gnome. But there is this one website when I was looking up, when I went down a Domovoy rabbit hole, I got to this one website and it says, the Domovoy was a little old man the size of a 5-year-old, or under 1 foot tall, who is covered with hair. Even the palms of his hand and the soles of his feet are covered with thick hair. On his face, only the space around his eyes and nose are bare. So that gave me, you know, I had to pause at that one because I had to go down a rabbit hole of how tall is a 5-year-old. Because I know for a fact that most 5-year-olds are taller than 1 foot tall. Come on, website. What tiny-ass 5-year-olds do you have running around you? So, for everyone listening to this thinking, 5-year-olds are only a foot tall? No, they're not. The average height of a 5-year-old is 3.3 feet tall, or roughly 1 meter tall. Or, if neither of those measurements work for you, about 1 Earth penguin tall. That's right, a penguin is around 3.3 feet tall. So, sticking with that really bizarre, horrible website and continuing with their description of a domovoi, the domovoi is given to grumbling and quarreling, and only comes out at night when the house is asleep. At night, he visits the sleepers and glides his hairy hands across their faces. Now, if the hand feels warm and soft, that's a sign of good luck. When they're cold and bristly, well, misfortune is on its way. Kurt here. Nope. Fuck that website. What creepy porn cryptid website is this? Are you kidding me? I gotta live in a house with some really creepy, hairy-looking thing that's gonna rub its hairy hands on me, and then I have to be like, in my sleep, trying to pretend like I'm still asleep because I'm scared shitless because this thing's rubbing its hands on me. Go, it's warm and soft. Must be good luck coming. Or, even worse, it's rubbing on my face, and I go, ooh, it's kind of cold and bristly. I guess bad luck. Yeah, the bad luck is this thing fucking rubbing its hands on your face. Alrighty. It continues to say the domovoi is easily offended and must be given gifts. Small cloaks buried beneath the floors of the house to give them something to wear, or leftovers from dinner. Then, on March 30th of each year, the domovoi turns malicious from dawn until midnight, and he must be bribed with food, such as little cakes or a pot of stewed grain. It is said it is easy to offend the domovoi on this day. For example, when your house's atmosphere becomes tense, you're irritated, or you poorly keep the household. When this happens, the domovoi turns into a barabashka that has poltergeist-type behavior. The barabashka can break dishes, scare children, make a mess, wake people up at night banging on pots, and most importantly, it hides things. So, if it's already the day after March 30th, you not keeping your house up right now, man, I'd have a barabashka because my house is a mess. But if that's the case and you can't find your keys, you have to ask the barabashka to return them to their place. However, keep in mind that peace and calm in the house will be its demands, and once it has, it'll go back to being that old creepy hairy-handed thing that touches your face while you sleep, kind of good, domovoi? Yay? Okay, so sticking with domovois, back in the day, families would make little effigies or statuettes of clay or stone, which looked like little garden gnomes, which were then placed in niches near the house's door. Later on, the mantelpieces, they would put them up there, or above the ovens, they would put them there. But these things are still found to this day, which is very cool. I'd like to have a vintage domovoi, as long as I know he's not going to touch my face with hairy hands. They were attired in distinct costumes of the tribe to which the kin belonged, but basically pointy hat wearing garden gnomes. They say the domovoi can foresee the future, and his groans and weeping, or his singing and jumping, are interpreted as prophecies of evil or good luck or bad luck. Here is your domovoi warning, people. All right. Do not get a domovoi wet or feed him after midnight. Oh, wait, nope, that's not right. Here it is. No household should consider moving to a new location without formally inviting the domovoi to join you. So, if you've ever heard a creaking or knocking or strange noise in your house, it's said you may have a domovoi, and not just a mouse or a raccoon in your crawl space. But don't forget, if you are moving, Kurt, talking to you, don't forget to move or to formally invite the domovoi. Hey, domovoi, I'm going to be moving soon. I don't know where. Maybe you could help me with that. Don't touch my face. Please come to my new house with me when I move. But there are more warnings. When a family built or acquired a new house, the eldest would enter first. Why? Because the first to enter a new house was soon to die and become the domovoi. Okay, again, I'm about to move to a new place somewhere. I'm going to need one of you to enter my new place first for me, okay? So I don't die first, okay? Patrons, who wants to enter my house and then die shortly after and become my domovoi? Can't touch me when I sleep. So that's one of the rules. All right, back to the new house stuff. To prevent the immediate death of the oldest family member, families could sacrifice a goat. I'm not going to do that. A fowl or a lamb. I can't do any of that. And then bury that under the first stone or log set. Or you will go without a domovoi. Now, when the oldest member of the family eventually dies, he does become the domovoi for that house. So you're going to get one no matter what, basically. If there are no men in the house, or the head of the house is a woman, well, the domovoi changes. That's right. Looks like a little woman garden gnome then. When a family moved from one house to another, they would rake out the fire and put the ashes into a jar and bring it with them, saying, "Welcome, grandfather, to the new." But if a house was just abandoned, you didn't invite the domovoi to go with you, the domovoi is trapped there. Even if it was burnt down to the ground or destroyed or whatever, the domovoi remains behind to reject or accept the next occupants. Whew. Okay, I think that's all the domovoi I can fit into one episode. So let's move on to, well, before I move on to these next few, let me teach you a new word. That's right, children. Gather around. Kurt's going to teach you a new word. Well, hopefully it's a new word. It's a new word to me. Teratophilia. That's right. Teratophilia refers to the sexual attraction to monsters. And if you look at the Wikipedia for teratophilia, well, you're going to see an Indian painting depicting a man just getting plowed from behind by the devil. Well, now that I'm looking at it, it looks like the devil just finished on the guy's back. So he just finished plowing the guy from behind. Someone painted that. That probably means that back in the day, some like rich a-hole asked some artist to paint it. And they were like, I'm sorry, you want a man just getting destroyed from behind by the devil? And the guy's like, no, I want him to, be finishing on the guy's back. But you can tell that he just destroyed this poor guy's butt. Like, and they had to do it. That's how art worked back in the day. Look, I saw this freaking thing on the Wikipedia for teratophilia, so I'm sharing it with you, this information with you, so, you can see it too. But why am I bringing this up, you might be asking? Well, because of these next couple of cryptids. The creepy cryptids, I like to call them. We're into the creepy cryptid section. I don't have a theme song for it. Just creepy cryptids. They're fucking creepy. There you go. All righty. Up first, we have the Traco. We go to Chiloé, which is an island off the south of Chile. And I've actually talked about Chiloé before, and I can't remember what it was regarding, but I remembered I didn't want to go to it then. Now I really don't want to go to it. Chiloé, an island, again, off the south of Chile, is the home of the Traco. But what is it? Well, it's a sexually potent dwarf with the power to paralyze women with a look before having sex with them. The Traco is described as being ugly and goblin-like. Kurt here, I'm just reading this off the website, Traco. I'm not calling you this. Websites did. The Traco is described as being ugly and goblin-like, often wearing a hat and a suit. His feet are stumps, and he communicates through a series of grunts. Some reports suggest the Traco doesn't even need to have intercourse with his victims, that he can, in fact, impregnate them with his gaze. Which one? Maybe this one? Nah, this one? I guess. I was looking for more of like a gasp. Is this a gasp? All right, fuck it. Impregnate him with his gaze. Often, when a single woman on Chiloé falls pregnant, people assume that the Traco is the father. I would assume, unless the woman goes like, no, it's Steve. And they're like, you got fucked by a Traco. No, I swear it's Steve. So in these cases, the women are considered blameless, though, as the Traco is irresistible to women. Kurt here. Seriously? Irresistible? Really? I'm thinking that any ugly stump-footed dwarf that paralyzes women and then fucks them is not, irresistible. More like, I don't know, some creepy, hypnotizing predator of women. But sure, why not? But wait, there's more, because the Traco is married. That's right. It's got a wife, and that wife is called La Fiora. La Fiora is said to be a grotesquely ugly dwarf with the ability to, quote, cast a sickness spell against anyone who rejects her sexual advances. It's said her breath is so foul, it can physically scar a human and turn animals lame. But despite her appearance, she is generally irresistible to men, and after having intercourse with them, she drives them insane. No, men will just fuck anything, and this proves it. Ugly dwarf with horrendous breath, but she'll fuck me? All right. Tomorrow I'll just tell my friends I was insane last night, and that's why I fucked the ugly dwarf that makes people sick and animals lame. Yeah, that's it. No. Dudes, come on. Be better than that. All righty, that's it for Traco and his wife, La Fiora. Let's go to Brazil, to another creepy cryptid. We're going to the rainforests of the Amazon basin, and let's talk about the Boto River dolphin, which I think I talked about before, but I couldn't find out, so this may be new to you. And come on, it's a dolphin. They're so cute, and, sure, they can be rapey. Look that up if you want. I gotta say, Kurt here, as much as I want to meet a dolphin, like pat it on his head and make it like, ee, that kind of stuff, I don't want to swim with them. And I definitely don't want to even swim or meet the Boto River dolphin, because the Boto River dolphin is believed to have shape-shifting powers. That's right, shape-shifting. It could turn into a very charming and beautiful man called Encantado. Encantado? Encantado. Yeah, Encantado. Or the Enchanted One. Now, Encantado would take women back to the river, then retake dolphin form and somehow still fuck the women, impregnating them. So young women of the region are very wary of any man wearing a hat because, according to legend, Encantado always wear a hat to cover up his blowhole. Oh my God, my secret is out. I am Encantado. That's why I always wear a hat. In many parts of Brazil, it is considered bad luck to kill Boto River dolphins. If you kill one, or in some cases, if you even just look at one in the eyes, it is said you will suffer nightmares for the rest of your life. So, 2 for 2, or 3 for 3, technically, of the creepy cryptids that I don't want to meet. I don't want to even look at a Boto River. If I'm going down the Boto River and you go, ooh, dolphin, I am gonna cry and I'm not gonna look. I'm gonna put my head down. I'm not looking. I don't want that. I don't need that. Come on. Huh. All right. We're not done with the creepy cryptids yet. Let's move on to Kurt here. Warning: a seriously creepy cryptid. Like, so creepy, I thought about not including it on this episode because of how creepy, rapey it is. You've been warned. The next creepy cryptid we go to the northern regions of Hungary, to a creature called Liderk. So the Liderk, it hatches from the first egg of a black hen and is often said to hide in people's pockets. Okay? So far weird, but not so far creepy. But warning, it's about to get bad. So, the Liderk enters its victims' homes through the keyhole. Once inside, the Liderk shapeshifts into a human, often taking the form of a dead relative of the victim. It then rapes its victim as the dead relative. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, which it is, it then makes the house very dirty before departing. Okay, you don't have to do that. You don't have to mess up the house. You already traumatized that person forever. Why did Grandpa come back from the dead and then rape me and then trash the house? It's a terrible fucking cryptid. Some reports say the Liderk becomes attached to his victims and never leaves. But I had to look up. I'm like, all right, if you get yourself a Lederic, how do you get rid of it? It can be exorcised by either sealing it inside a tree hollow. Sure, that seems easy enough. Or by persuading it to perform a near impossible task, such as carrying water with a bucket full of holes. Okay, that's just, I mean, that one's way easier than finding a tree hollow and persuading it to step inside while you seal it up. So thankfully there's, that weird-ass backdoor way of exercising a Lederic. It is common even today for children in Hungary to stomp on eggs taken from a black hen or leave the eggs on doorstops to cause mischief. Right here, another place I never need to go because fuck that thing. That is terrible. Terrible. All right. Let's stick with creepy cryptids just for a little bit longer. I know we've gone over an hour. I don't care. I got more to tell you. Let's go to Germany for this one. So, nothing weird ever comes out of Germany. This should be nice and weird. It's called the Alp, and it's a small elf-like creature who is said to have climbed onto a sleeping victim's chest. So, kind of like a sleep paralysis demon, but worse because it then turns into a fine mist and enters the body through the nostrils, the mouth, or particularly the vagina. There we go. A creepy sleep paralysis-like demon turns into a fine mist and then whoop, right up your hoo-ha, women. Once inside, the Alp has the ability to control its victims' dreams, creating horrible nightmares. Its victims reported a, quote, breathless feeling when they're awake. So, yeah, like a nightmare-given sleep paralysis demon that enters through your vagina. Sounds like fun, right? Well, I couldn't find out how to get rid of the damn thing. Couldn't find out what to do if one tries to get up your hoo-ha, ladies. I don't know how you stop it. Kegels, I guess. Do some Kegel exercises. If you need a reason to do Kegels, it's to stop an Alp from entering you and then giving you bad dreams. Sure. I got to make an exercise video with, with instructional content like that. All righty. Enough with the creepy cryptids for one episode, right? Let's move on. I'm sorry. Well, hold on. What's that you say? Hold on. Sorry. One second, guys. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. You want me to do one more? I mean, I can do. You want to do one more creepy cryptid? You want me to move on from the creepy cryptids? Yeah. All right. Look. All right. All righty. You want one more? Fine. Here you go, weirdos. Let's go to Indonesia and let's talk about the Pontianak. Pontianak. Sorry. The Pontianak. No, not the Pontiac like a Trans Am, but the Pontianak. You got an extra A. The Pontianak. Now, it lives in Pontianak, Indonesia, which is the capital of West Kalimantan. Sure. Has a population of 573,000. And, well, fellas, this one's for you. Why? Because the Pontianak eats your wiener. We did it. Yay. Woohoo. That's right. The Pontianak. Boy, it's spelled weird. The Pontianak appears as a beautiful woman on the road when you're traveling, as a lady in white with long dark hair. Now, rumors say she is the spirit of a woman who died while pregnant, and, well, she's really not happy about it, because if you encounter her, she will seduce you. And then, well, I already said it, she'll eat your dick, people, is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes she'll just rip it off and leave it, and then leave with it, but most times she bites it clean off. So I'm sure you're thinking, like, ooh, hot woman in white on a road, she wants to go down on me. Well, here's what you do. If you come across this situation, before you let her go down on you, I want you to take out your phone, pull up Google Maps, check out your location. If it says you're in Pontianak, my recommendation is don't do it. It's not worth the risk. Why? No, it's not going to be good. If you're not in Pontianak, sure, go for it. I don't care. Look, even if you are and you really want to risk it, sure, go for it. It says that after she eats or just rips off your dick, she sometimes rips out your insides, or she sucks your eyeballs out with her mouth. Yeah, she puts her mouth on your eyes and sucks out your eyeballs. Look, nothing good is going to happen is what I'm saying. But there is something you can do. And again, I don't know why you wouldn't just leave immediately, never go to Pontianak. But if you do find yourself out there and, again, like some woman in white, it pops up out of nowhere and you are sure, you got to be 100% sure, people. If you're 100% sure she's not just some random hot lady looking to give BJs out in Pontianak, Indonesia, and I mean really, really sure, well, if you really want to risk it, here's what you could do. When she gets on her knees in front of you, you can jam a nail into the base of her head. This will stop her from turning into the cock-gobbling monster, and she will, quote, now make a good wife. Wow. You have to jam a nail into the base of her head right before she goes down on you to, quote, make her now a good wife. That is so much risk for the oddest, vaguest reward ever. So you just, lobotomized a Pontianak? And you hope that it works? You hope she won't suck out your eyeballs or, bite off your willy? It's not worth it, guys. No, just don't do it. Alrighty. Okay, now I'm done with them for the episode. Nope, no more creepy cryptids on this episode. Let's get back to the weird kind of cryptids. And if you were, traveling with a small child in a car and you played this in front of them, why? Why would you do that? You know what this show is. You know you can't trust me to be, family-friendly content. I'm not going to be submitting this episode for, a podcast award. This one is doomed to have creepy cryptids, creepy cryptid lovers loving it. But for us regular people, I'm done with the creepy cryptids. But here's a fun game I like to play. It's called How Many Words Can Kurt Get Wrong in a Row? The timer starts now. Wafar Wadi is a small village in the immediate vicinity in Karjul Harya, now known as Karjul Harashwar. It is located in the Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra, India, and is the home of the Vadakila monster. Yay! I got through the hardest sentence on this entire outline for this episode. We're talking about the Vadakila monster. What's it look like, huh? Well, I don't know. I went down a lot of rabbit holes for this one. I can tell you this. It has green hair that's been found, and they currently don't know what creature this green hair is from. It has unusual dinosaur-like footprints, which casts have been made of. Again, what creature made them? Currently unknown. So there is something here, but what is it? What is the Vadakila monster? Well, there's the problem. There isn't enough online for me about it. I can't get a clear description, size, anything. There's a painting of a guy with an axe fighting like a dinosaur-like Brachiosaurus that's fire-breathing thing in a swamp. But that's about it. It seems to be dinosaur-like and the size of a raptor, or maybe slightly bigger than a raptor. So I guess let's hope there's a living dinosaur in India, and let's also hope some idiot with an axe won't kill it, okay? That's about all I know about the Vadakila. There's hair samples, there's footprint casts of it. They think it's a dinosaur. I hope it is. But until I find out more, we got to keep on moving on. Because up next is the Millville Insanity Bird. That's right, we go to Millville, New Jersey, January 21st, 1909, nighttime. That's when Dan Posick was doing his chores at home when he heard someone in the backyard walking around calling out to him. So he turns around and sees, well, not a person. He sees a monster beast bird about 18 feet high. This Millville Insanity Bird, as it was come to be known, demanded to know where the garbage can was, asking it in perfect English. And that's even weirder than seeing a monster beast bird about 18 feet high. I can almost get behind, like, oh my God, I saw a monster beast bird 18 feet high. And I get behind you going, wow, that's cool. Tell me more. But if you said, okay, it then demanded to know where the garbage can was in perfect English, I'd be like, okay, I got to go now. But, you do you. So, yeah, it does. Dan rightfully, so he freaks the fuck out. He runs towards the barn, but the bird caught up with him immediately. Here's the quote. It, quote, wrapped its sinewy and red beak around my body. Okay, Dan, calm the fuck down. So Dan began hitting it with a hatchet that he just kept on his belt. But get this, it doesn't start bleeding or screaming at him to, not fucking hit him. All it wants is a trash can. None of that. Nope. Splinters start coming off from where he hit it, like it was made out of wood. So, Dan starts, chopping away until the bird whispers something in Dan's ear. He said he couldn't make it out. So when it whispers in his ear, he's like, nope, fuck this thing. And he hits it square in the face with the hatchet. It screams out in pain, fills its body like a balloon, and then floated away into space. So I'm sure you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking, which is that old chestnut, Dan, if I had a nickel for every time all that shit happened, boy, I could buy a house in California. I'm sure you're thinking, so one guy did a hell of a lot of drugs in 1909, probably drank a Coca-Cola, because all probably cocaine at that point, or heroin or whatever the fuck, and he did a lot of drugs and he made it onto the news? That was all that you're telling me, Kurt? Well, no. And the reason I say no is this thing, or some version of this thing, was also seen in Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland. The Asbury Park Evening Press interviewed Dan and wrote about it in the January 22nd issue. And that's when 2 and 2 started to click for me. Think of the timeline. This was New Jersey, January 1909. If you're a Cryptid fan, like I hope you are, in fact, I think it was the very first episode this was talked about, and the only time it's really been talked about on this podcast, and it wasn't even by me, it was by Mickey Gallier. That's the exact time frame of the Jersey freaking Devil. That's right, from January 16th through January 23rd. With some sightings occurring into February of that same year, there was a lot of weird sightings in those states. The Jersey Devil being one, the Millville Insanity Bird being two, a fire-breathing dragon was seen in Philadelphia, a unicorn horned bird thing compromised of, quote, Frankenstein parts of different animals actually confronted a police officer in Salem. This time span began to be known as the Phenomenon Week, or the Jersey Devil's Finest Hour, and was 2 weeks of the most insane cryptid sightings all over these states. Which, you know what? That leads me to this next question. Were all of these things the same thing? Was the Millville Insanity Bird the Jersey Devil? Was the Jersey Devil the big horned bird that confronted a Salem cop? Why did this thing speak perfectly good English? Why did it need a trash can, Dan? Why did it blow up its body like a balloon and then float away into space? These questions and more, I gotta say, I don't know. All right, I think we're good. I don't know, but it seems like a damn good spot to stop this week's episode. You tell me, do you think these were all the same thing? I don't know. Once again, I'm your host, Kurt Samick. This has been another edition of Paranormal Almanac. I did it.